Today, we're looking at Noodler's Matahari Cordial. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Noodler's Matahari's Cordial is a purple or violet ink. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I put the ink into a different pen for a day. I then put it into a Fountain Pen Revolution Himalaya with their flex nib to take my notes for this video. Now, before we get to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is the chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down, immediately put it in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. And what we see is this ink does not move a lot. It's a very dark line across the bottom, and some purple pushes up, some purple pushed down, and that was my mistake in it was moving up and down. It didn't push down into the water. The one on the right, I let dry for 10 minutes, only 10 minutes, before I put it into water. And you can't tell that it was tested. It looks like it was never dunked in. This looks incredibly aggressive. It got straight into the paper and didn't want to move at all. Now, resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it is to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, the ink was completely unaffected. That extra fine line is still an extra fine line. There's no blurring at all of any of the letters. That makes this a very safe ink to take notes with. Water had no effect. It didn't even know that water touched it. It blew it off. Pen Flush only managed to reactivate and move away some of the darker tones, but you see that there is still a ton of ink left there. Bleach only took off some. You see how it's discolored like a green where the ink used to be. So this is an ink with a potential of staining. Make sure that you use a more inexpensive pen before you put it into an expensive pen, just for that opportunity that it might stain. Now, that bleach is a 1/3 bleach solution. There may be a need to use that to get this out of your pen. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Noodler's Matahari's Cordial has a viscosity of 2.08, making it just a wetter ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. For the inks I've tested, I found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Noodler's Matahari Cordial has an average dry time of 7 seconds because this is an aggressive ink getting into the paper. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in sample form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at Clairefontaine. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. This is a great looking purple. I really like this purple and how it looks. There's a lot of purple inks I like. This is one that I wish I could use on legal documents because it is so very permanent. Extra fine, same exact tone as the 1.1 with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 5 seconds to dry. Wow, that's fast. Same exact tone with the medium. This is where I talk about something being boring because it is so predictable in its color, which is good. To know exactly what you're going to get as a color, it's great. The medium has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 6 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both the extra fine and the medium show us no color variation. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. The smear test, you would probably be able to recover it if you did smear it while you were writing. Sorry about that noise into the mic. Look at that. Same exact color despite being on a different tone paper. Tomoe River, no bleeding. Yes, there's ghosting. It's Tomoe River. What do you expect? The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. Looks fantastic. The extra fine has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and only 8 seconds to dry.
I think ballpoint smears longer than that on some papers, but here it dried super fast. Same exact tone with the medium, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 10 seconds to dry, with a great purple. The scrubby of the extra fine and the medium show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it. Smear test, you wrote on Tomoe River, you don't get to recover if you smear. Stop smearing things on Tomoe River paper. Silly. Talking to you. Rhodia, no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 is no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. The extra fine, same exact tone, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, 6 seconds to dry. Medium, same exact tone, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, 7 seconds to dry. Extra fine and medium, no color variation in the scrubby. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. The smear test, you might be able to recover. This is a maybe, because the extra fine doesn't look recoverable, but the medium does. So what happens for yellow paper? What does this do to some of the toning? And it's interesting because there's little spots going on that look weird that I didn't see here. And then when I was taking my notes for this, I was using the FPR Himalaya with the flex nib. And I see look at that. Look at what happens with a very wet pen. And this is Rhodia paper. A lot of bleeding in, a lot of spotting. It did not hit that page, but something to be warned about. Avoid that super wet pen. So the yellow has no bleeding, no ghosting. What about the color? We doing anything to the color? Nothing. It's boring and predictable. As a beautiful purple. Great and nice dusty color. I don't always like the dusty colors. This one I do. The 1.1 is no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. The extra fine, same exact tone. With no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 6 seconds to dry. Same exact tone on the medium that has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, and 7 seconds to dry. The scrubby still shows us no color variation. We still didn't get any color variation. We got the same thing on a smear test. The extra fine smeared and couldn't recover, but the medium did. It's smeared, but you probably could recover it. So I call this a maybe on recovery. What does Franklin Christoph paper do with this ink? Now, this is an aggressive ink, and we see spots where it starts working its way very deep into the paper, but it's not coming through the paper. It's just something to be aware of if you're working with a much wetter pen. So it's coming through, but not all the way through. It is not bleeding through, just getting deep into that page. So we have no real bleeding, we have no real ghosting. The back of the page is still usable. The 1.1, bad news, everybody. The Franklin Christoph paper let me down here, okay? It's a little more absorbent paper. It kind of let me down. We didn't have spread. We have light feathering all over the entire of the writing. It's little blurry edges. So don't go for the 1.1 on Franklin Christoph paper. So we go to the extra fine where we get exactly the same tone. No spread, but we have a lot of little feathering all over this paper. All over it. It's just a little blurry all the way around. It's all got tiny feathers all over it. I don't know. No halo, no sheen, no shade. 3 seconds to dry. Medium, same exact tone. No spread, feathering all over. It's tiny feathering. Both of these, it's tiny feathering. It's not the end of the world. If you just had to write something down, and it's not like you're, writing the great American novel or your memoirs, this is going to be perfectly fine. You can recover what's there. It's not so distracting. It's just, know it's there. That's all. Know it's there. It's going to happen. It's okay. But it does feather a lot, and it's really tiny feathering on everything. No halo, no sheen, no shade, 3 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both showed us no color variation. We got no color variation, and the smear test, we could definitely recover both of these. So this is Strathmore calligraphy paper. It is a laid paper. Great for correspondence. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 is no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. Looks fantastic here. The extra fine has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 1 second to dry. Amazing. This performed really well on this. The medium, same exact tone all the way through. I talked about that, where this is a boring, predictable color, and it is, and it's fantastic. The medium has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 1 second to dry. Now the scrubby for both showed us no color variation. We didn't get any color variation, and surprisingly, with how fast it dried, the smear, I don't think you could recover either of these if you smeared them while you were writing. And that is all that I have for the writing sample.
Instead of finding inks that look like Noodler's Matahari Cordial, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I chose Colorverse Proxima B because it's this kind of blue-black that's much darker than what we're seeing here, and I really didn't want to just draw attention away from this very nice color. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Noodler's Matahari Cordial? This is a very aggressive ink, and if you use it with a broader, wetter pen, it will seep through the pages, even more or even higher quality pages. My Rhodia pad that I took the notes on, it started to have some bleed through, not onto the next page, but some bleed. But if you use this in a finer nib or in a drier pen, I don't think you're going to have any kind of bleed problems. This is a great purple. I like how permanent it is for good note-taking, especially in lab environments. It's a nice dusty color, and dusty colors aren't normally what I go for, but this dusty purple does stand out very nice. Thanks for watching.